good thing. Wes, do you want to answer this?
Right, okay. In some ways,
sorry, can we repeat the question to the people outside?
Oh yeah, well, they might have heard the last one. Just for the benefit of the people outside, the three questions, well, kind of four that I got were, wouldn't the debate that would have taken place here been exactly the sort of thing that would educate and help to educate people about the threats of the BNP? What exactly is the welfare threat? The other question was, should the NUS officials responsible be held to account, and shouldn't they resign? What measures will we put in place to ensure this doesn't happen again? The third point was made was that the Union Society is not a member of DSU or NUS, so what gave NUS the right to poke its nose in? And hasn't this given a victory to the BNP? So in some ways, the first question and the last question are related, because when it comes to educating people up and down the country and particularly tackling those areas where people are likely to vote for the BNP, I honestly don't believe, if I thought that bringing Nick Griffin to a place like this, or to the Cambridge Union, or to the Oxford Union, and absolutely ripping him to pieces, as has actually happened on occasion. Jean-Marie Le Pen spoke at the Cambridge Union when I was a student there. His translator mistranslated what he was saying and watered some of his more controversial remarks down, but luckily there were some French speakers in the audience, being Cambridge University. Probably not quite as good as Durham, but they were. If I honestly thought that giving those people a platform and having those debates and ripping apart those arguments in their way would help in places like East London and Stoke-on-Trent and all the other places I keep on mentioning, then I would think it's absolutely worthwhile. But I just don't think it works. I honestly don't believe that when Nick Griffin speaks in places like this, that there are people who follow the debate in places like Barking and Dagenham and Stoke-on-Trent, not simply because they're not, by and large, not at this university or those other universities, but their comments and remarks aren't reported there. It's not such good news and that's why what I think does help is showing them, dressed up in black tie, speaking in prestigious venues that are the places where kings and queens, prime ministers and presidents are given an opportunity to speak. These are prestigious venues. And I think giving the BNP a platform in those places legitimises them, whilst not actually educating people in the very areas where they're turning to the BNP in greater numbers. I think in terms of the, what right does NUS have to I think all of us, whenever we have political opinions about anything, we have the right and the ability to protest people we disagree with, or to make clear our views about whether someone should or shouldn't be invited to somewhere. Of course, it's for the members of those organisations to decide fully. One of the things I think we need a big debate about inside NUS, and this relates to the second point about what measures. I think we do need a debate inside NUS about what happens when members of NUS, obviously union societies, and that's one of the things about NUS officers not running things by me. Being a graduate of my university, I know the difference between the debating union and the students' union. One of the things we need to debate in terms of student is where they have a different position, how we handle that, because I understand people's discomfort with the idea that this kind of national organisation that you're part of comes wading in. But there's a tension here, and there's a tension on the other hand, which is those sections of NUS, those liberation campaigns, which are autonomous and self-organised, they have a principle at their heart, which is about students who define into those campaigns self-organising, setting policy, setting mandates, setting direction. So if those officers are receiving correspondence from, I'm not saying this happened in this case, by the way, because I haven't gone into that much detail yet. We've got some further mopping up of this mess to do when I get back tomorrow. But if, for example, and what would you do, for example, if you had a students' union which disagreed with no platform policy, NUS agrees with it, student union invites the BNP in, LGBT society, black member society, Jewish society as well, are actually lobbying their representative nationally to say, come and help us, we need, we want your support as our national representative. Then I think,
we're not your scapegoat.
Then I think, no, I'm trying to, not trying to play politics of scapegoats. I'm just saying there are genuine tensions at the heart of all of this, and that one of the tensions is about the autonomy of NUS's liberation campaigns, for example, because there is a good principle, I think, at the heart of kind of self-organisation and people who are affected by the same sorts of issues coming together to talk about how to combat, in this case, particular forms of discrimination. But there is also a massive problem, not least for me, when officers who are autonomous of NUS and autonomous of me, it's not like they don't report to me, I don't line manage them, much as I would like to on a number of occasions. So what do I do to keep those people in checks? How autonomous are they? Because in this case, they've used their autonomy in such a way that's caused massive reputational damage to NUS, massive problems in terms of the relationship between NUS and its members. And one of the conversations that we'll be having when I get back tomorrow is about how they behave, their accountability to the centre. And I dare say, I'm very conscious as well of debates that are taking place around NUS affiliation, again, as a direct result of this. And one of the conversations I'll be having when I go back tomorrow is having some accountability on how it is that certain NUS officers felt it's appropriate to act in such a way, hide behind autonomy, and leave the rest of us to mop up the pieces. And it's that is not acceptable. I've always supported the autonomy of liberation campaigns on the basis that I set out earlier, which is about people coming together to identify how they'll tackle common issues and common discrimination as women, as LGBT people, as black people, as disabled people. But there has to be some accountability to the centre as well, not least because of the huge mess that's occurred here. And the final thing, just I want to make sure I respond to every point so you don't have to go me. In terms of the welfare threat, I mean, when the BNP are in an area, they organise, they'll be out, it gives them a hook to be present, to be leafleting, to be talking to people. That is a concern because, as I said earlier, crime statistics show that when the BNP are active in an area, that these incidents of attack and crime directed particularly towards black and other ethnic minority communities increases.
My question was actually, could you demonstrate any of these facts to us, and how does the debate here actually employ the direct harm principle in freedom of speech?
Well, because I mean, if the BNP are in it, I mean, I saw it in Palatinate, and I believe every word that's always printed in next. It's a very good student newspaper. But
I need some further words, actually. Sorry, I'm doing the edge of Palatinate. In the crowd outside, a lot of people picked up on this. There were 4 members of the BNP party, and one of them was a leading member, and we spotted them and took them off and did an interview with them. So they were present outside. And
where was their direct harm? Where's the welfare?
Yeah, but they were outside with the camera. Wait, listen. They were outside with the camera filming it, and they will spin that as support for them. Okay.
That isn't the direct harm principle in freedom of speech.
Well, because what I'm saying in terms of direct harm, I think again it's significant and problematic that the BNP are able to use this sort of stuff as a hook to be present, to organise, to get their message across, and as a propaganda tool. As I said, the evidence based on past experience, I can't kind of anticipate crime. It's not like I can say that if you have a debate next week, there'll be 20 incidents of this sort of crime. What I can say is that where they have been active in the past, then crime statistics show that that crime will increase, and I do think that is a serious cause of concern. The other thing I would say, and that's not to start pointing fingers of blame, or to suggest that one party is always blameless, but there will always be, wherever it is and whoever organises it, when the BNP are active or when there's other stuff going on, like anti-fascist marches, there will always be someone from the other side turning up. At some point, despite the best efforts of police, there are more often than not encounters and clashes, and again, that is a source of concern. I'm truly sorry that because of that past experience, the perception was somehow given that NUS would bus in loads of people, deliberately try and stoke up trouble, so you'd have to call the debate. I'm just saying that has happened in not at the instigation of NUS, but there have been clashes in the past. That is something to take seriously. And again, I'm not saying it's one side or the other. I'm not getting into that territory even. I'm just saying that there are, I think, genuine welfare concerns. But my motivation for supporting No Platform has always been primarily about the political message, the political tool. And I understand now more than ever people want to debate that, but that's the basis upon which we currently have policy. And the final thing I'd say is that obviously as members of NUS, Durham, we've got a conference in Gateshead in just a month or so. Your union is more than entitled to put in policy.
We're not responsible if anyone gets hurt.
So DSU, what I'm saying is you as members of DSU can put in policy changes to NUS as well.